20, 25 seconds of this shot clock. Get Carroll on their heels a little bit. I think that'll pay dividends on the other end as well.
Spencer baseline drive, kick out. Luke Anthony, wide open three. Money for the Wheaton North product.
Not much rust on that stroke after a season and a half away from the game. That was always his strong suit at Wheaton North, although oftentimes he was having to pull up off the dribble. Wheaton catching in rhythm. He could be a dangerous three-point threat for this team second half of the year.
Strong finish underneath for Charlie Soule. Coach Schauer was talking about he was surprised by how well Luke Anthony walked into practice shooting the basketball. It felt like he hadn't even had a layoff. And a foul away from the ball will be the 5th against the Pioneers. I have a sneaking suspicion we will see a lot of free throws tonight.
We're heading that way, even though we've yet to have a shooting foul of any kind. Kind of the game you were expecting, though. It's gritty, a lot of contact. They're making the cuts very difficult for Wheaton. And in that situation, Wheaton's got to commit to those cuts. It's really easy when a cut is hard to kind of soften it up, and that's when your offense derails.
Luke Peters trying to get to the bucket. There's our first shooting foul. And the last 3 fouls have come against the Pioneers. So we are at 6 apiece, just over the midway point of the half. And Luke Peters will go to the line for 2 shots.
See if Luke can get it going. He struggled mightily from the foul line this year, shooting only about 48%. Oftentimes you can hit that first one. It gives you a little bit of a cushion, but that one goes long off the back iron.
Blake Williams into the game for the first time tonight for the Pioneers, a 6'6" freshman out of Lone Tree, Colorado, and a long prospect, long and lean at 6'6", 190, but averaging 4 points a game. Luke misses both free throws. We remain tied at 17. Great help from Peterson around the high screen. They repost with Ingebrigtsen, and he will go to work against Najuan Spencer. Turning into the lane, misses the layup. Cruikshank, a strong rebound in traffic, and he will go to the other end to shoot free throws as Taryn Hall is called for his second foul on the rebound.
Spencer got away with a little hold with the right hand there, but fortunately the officials were looking for the contact up high and missed it. I think in that situation, Spencer Peterson showed the help. What Wheaton needs to do there is keep that help there until Cruikshank gives it up. Let's make somebody else beat us a couple times down the floor. Love to see them overhelp a little bit in the post. So
Cruikshank will shoot one and the bonus. On the year, he's 12 of 16 at the stripe, and he misses the first.
I think all 3 of the Thunder free throws have hit about the same 1-inch spot on the back right side of the iron. Wheaton hasn't been kind to us.
They struggled at the free throw line in that loss to IIT. Aston Francis even missing 3 himself, almost an 85% shooter. Trying to post Ingebrigtsen, denied by Peterson. Now they kick it out to the top. Long 3 for Williams. He goes down hard on the follow through. Luke Peters with the rebound.
Nothing more irritating than that 3-point flop, and nice of the officials not to call it.
Francis all the way to the hoop, and he will be fouled by Nick Penny. Actually, they're going to call it on the floor, so 1-and-1 coming for Aston Francis.
You mentioned the free throw shooting woes at IIT. If you haven't been down to that gym, as many of our listeners and viewers probably haven't been, it's a little bit like shooting in a greenhouse. Not the easiest place to shoot, and an odd structure of that gym. Not to excuse it, but if you're going to have a bad shooting night, odds are it might happen at IIT.
Just a reminder, stay with us at the tail end of the halftime break. We're going to have the announcement of the 2018 Male Performance, Female Performance, and Play of the Year. Those awards being determined by social media voting at the end of the calendar year 2018. So we'll announce those.
Did you get your vote in? Are you allowed to vote, or do you have to abstain?
I am the tabulator of the vote. Okay. So I am just the announcer of the winner. As Aston makes the first. And makes the second.
See if the Thunder can string a couple stops together. This is where they could gather a little momentum, finish the half strong.
So a 2-point lead for the Thunder. That's their first lead of the night. Trying to lob Ingebrigtsen. It's denied. Soule searching for space. Ingebrigtsen will bounce to the corner. Another 3-ball for Williams. Won't go. And a strong rebound for Najuan Spencer holding off Charlie Soule. Francis pushing the other way. Slows, spins, probing, and an offensive foul.
Yeah. Thought he might get away with it there, but pretty good defense.
And that is his second. So we'll see how that. He will head to the bench with 8:34 left. Luke Anthony into the game. Ingebrigtsen out, and Anthony Marlowe in for Carroll.
We'll see if that's it for Francis for the half. I think Coach Schauer will be pretty careful using him in a game this tight, unless it becomes necessary. He may try to get him some offensive possessions and kind of trade defensive possessions, but he may be done for the remaining 8:30 of this half.
With enough disruptions like this half has had, you almost can get away with the offense-defense here in the first half. And a travel for Anthony Marlowe.
That looked like me trying to go off the dribble.
He couldn't decide which hand or foot to start with.
So he started with both of them on both sides.
8 fouls against the Thunder, against the Pioneers, 7 against the Thunder, so free throws the rest of the way.
Game's being called a little tightly for my liking as Adom hits, but it's being called evenly, so you got to give the officials that. And as long as that's the case, you could deal with a high whistle game.
Ye takes advantage of the over-aggressive defense. On the pick and roll, it goes down to Marlowe, who gets the lay in. As Peters across the timeline against Nick Penny. Right wing for Ye. Holding against Clary, who will take the lead of the offense here with Francis on the bench for what's likely the last 8.5 minutes after his second foul. Luke Anthony driving into the paint. Stops, finds Ye with 7. 10-footer in the paint is good for Niamie Adom.
He's got it going here a little bit.
He's a guy with a lot of upside. Had a couple big games early this year.
And you can tell he's got the confidence. Those pull-up jumpers, if you're at all hesitant, at all tentative, those don't go.
Ye, a redshirt freshman after he missed all of last season, injured in the first practice of the season. As that was Ryan Clary bullying his way to the basket. Two-point lead for the Thunder inside of 7 minutes here in the first half.
And Rusty, what we're seeing here defensively from Wheaton, I think, is a little bit too much aggression on the perimeter.
Strong back down by Anajuan Spencer. And that'll be 2 fouls against Blake Williams. The 6'6 freshman into the game for only a couple minutes to get his second foul. And we haven't seen a whole lot of block work from Anajuan this year, but his offensive game continues to expand. He looked very competent in that back down.
He was very comfortable there, was patient, didn't rush it, and then turned to the left and was able to finish. I'd love to see a steady diet of that until Carroll proves they can stop it.
Dylan Ingebrigtsen into the game as Spencer replaced by Spencer Peterson. So a 5-point lead for the Thunder. So Ingebrigtsen's in stereo on the floor for the Pioneers, both out of Elk Grove, Illinois. The senior and the freshman wearing number 44 is Dylan at 6'5".
Always nice when you get the combo package of 6'5 plus brothers, especially if the younger can turn into the older over the course of time.
And a nice kick out from Dylan. And that'll be a bucket for Charlie Soule. It's always good to recruit good genes. You can't beat that. Something that Wheaton's cashed in on a few times over the years.
Yeah, definitely a few times. Really going back to the Senek brothers, the first in my memory. But there's been a lot more, and we've got one on the floor right now.
Absolutely. Even have 2 on the floor if you want to count Spencer Peterson.
Yeah.
Ingebrigtsen spinning. Kick out for 3 for Penny. And the scissor kick 3-ball goes for Nick Penny. And just like that, Carroll ties it back at 26.
It's going to be interesting to see what adjustments they make either at the next time out or at halftime. Because what's killing Wheaton right now is the ball getting into the paint, either into Ingebrigtsen's hands or off the penetration. If Wheaton can take those 2 things away, they're really not getting much more out of their offense in terms of cutting or action on the perimeter.
Foul is called against Nick Penny. That'll put Wheaton in the double bonus with 5:46 left in the first half as Luke makes the first one. Want to take this time to send a shout out to the viewing party in Phoenix, Arizona, watching at the home of the Smiths.
That's Andy and Renee. That's
absolutely
the sister and brother-in-law, Coach Schauer. Hopefully they've got a nice spread of food there.
Be disappointed if they don't, but thank you to the Wheaton family watching in Phoenix tonight. Watching Luke Peters sink a pair of free throws to give Wheaton a 2-point lead. Here inside of 6 minutes left in the first half. Ingebrigtsen driving, picks up his dribble at the free throw line, swings right side to Claret, who will bounce down to Soule. Soule to the younger Ingebrigtsen, cut off by Gunter, and he will be called for the foul.
And once again, it's another situation of Wheaton just being a little too anxious, a little too aggressive on the recoveries. This is not a team that's beating you one-on-one unless you overhelp and over-recover. If they could solve that, they should be able to lock down this defense to an even greater degree the remainder of the game.
So it'll be Dylan Ingebrigtsen with the free throw, and he missed it. Spencer Peterson, the box out of Tyler Ingebrigtsen to grab the basketball. Also helps the younger Ingebrigtsen left-handed as Peters all the way to the bucket. A Dome trying to kick to Anthony. Knocked away by Clary, but collected by Anthony. Luke bouncing down to Anajuan Spencer. Ball was shuffled around and out of bounds. Will go the other direction.
I like the patience of the Thunder throughout the first 15 seconds. They were moving it. They were staying active. I even like the penetration by Luke Peters there. Got a little bit tripped up. Should have come to a jump stop, and I think he would have found Spencer for a pretty powerful flush.
Tyler looking down low. He'll get it to Dylan on the right wing against Spencer Peterson. Tyler is searching. Great defense and help from Adome, and it'll stay with the Pioneers. 12 on the shot clock, but Spencer Peterson seems like he's learning every time down, kind of figuring out the repertoire of Tyler Ingebrigtsen in the post.
He is, and the help from Adome there was big, and very low-risk help. He took one step in, was able to get a hand in, and he was only about a step away from recovering if Ingebrigtsen came out of the post with that thing.
Marlowe back into the game for the freshman Dylan Ingebrigtsen. They bounce right into Charlie Soule. Soule against Luke Anthony. Great defense from Anthony. Soule can't get the roll, and Peters cleans the glass. Luke Anthony showing what he's going to bring to the table. A stout guard at 6'3", 200. Showed even though limited practice times and chemistry with this group, he's always on spot with the help defense. Ye fouled on the floor, no shot, didn't go anyhow. Double bonus time and 2 free throws coming for Nyamie Adome as you see the contact by Charlie Soule on the rebound, on the replay, excuse me.
I'm telling you, the happiest guy on the floor right now to have these 2 free throws is Luke Anthony. He's been out there now 4.5 minutes. When you're only about a week into practice trying to get your legs back under you and you've had to guard a guy in the post the previous time down, your lungs are burning, the legs are feeling a little bit heavy, but he's resting up well now.
As you see there on our score graphic, we'd love to hear from you if you're watching and wherever you're watching. Shoot us an email at wtsn@wheaton.edu with any feedback you may have from tonight's broadcast. Both free throws are good for Adome, and Wheaton again leads by 4 with 4.5 minutes left here in the first half. Alongside Nate Frank, I'm Rusty Lindsay. You're watching CCIW basketball from WTSN and Sunrise Communications. Soule looking for room against Anthony. He powers his way through, and that'll be a foul against Luke Anthony.
That's a pretty good strong move. He made the spin, and with the spin, oftentimes when a guy makes a spin like that, you see his momentum take him away from the basket. He did a really nice job, Soule did, of getting that spin and getting the momentum going toward the basket. There was almost no choice but to foul him.
You see Anthony frustrated because he took that shoulder in the chest twice and couldn't hold the line. Free throw missed, and Carroll, who's a 71% shooting free throw team, has missed the front end a couple times here. Again, Wheaton playing without Aston Francis since the 8:30 mark of the first half when he picked up his second foul. I think Anajuan Spencer just bounced the ball off his head as Spencer Peterson hits the 3. It looked like that was the big brother against little brother, right off the forehead.
Get out of my grill was, I think, the message that little tap was sending. And a nice hit for 3 by Peterson. Really like the way Wheaton's running offense. They're spreading it around. Adome has had a good half. And that's better defense. Peterson there, giving Ingebrigtsen a little bit of room, not requiring help.
And as Carroll starts some infighting there, and that will lead to a full Carroll timeout. They've been composed here on the road. They've kind of weathered a couple pushes from the Thunder, but that time you're starting to see the normally composed Ingebrigtsen start to come at his guys, and that'll be Kyle Jones and Paul Combs who quickly try to cool tempers and get them back into the huddle and under control, trailing by 7.
Very little will create that kind of inter-team animosity than a guy who backdoors at the wrong time and makes the pass look overwhelmingly errant the way Ingebrigtsen's did that time. I think he was looking for him either to go right away or to hold his spot, and the hesitation on the back cut led to a nice turnover. But credit Wheaton's defense. They did a good job of getting in the passing lane.
We'll look around the conference here. Again, a full slate of CCIW actions. Illinois Wesleyan has the bye tonight. In Rock Island, Augustana 39-20 over North Park in the Battle of the Vikings, East and West. Milliken leading 39-31 up in Kenosha, and Elmhurst leading 26-15 against North Central as the Blue Jays look to remain undefeated in CCIW play.
That's what you see from the Blue Jays an awful lot. You saw it under Mark Scherer when he was the head coach there. You see it under John Baines now, who studied under the tutelage of Scherer. It's a team that needs to reload periodically. They don't get the level of talent year in and year out, but when Baines can get a team together for more than a year or two, he gets good talent and they can turn him into a winner. They're going to be right there the entire course of the season.
North Central still trying to find their rhythm following the loss of Aiden Chang in that game here, as an Ajuan Spencer kick out 3-ball for Adom. He's fouled, and that'll be 3 free throws. A scary moment also on Wednesday for North Central. Probably a lot of you saw the video of Blaze Meredith going skying into the backboard at the Carver Center. Made it on Sports Center that night even. Been seen probably over 1 million times, but a scary moment. He's okay, but he also has 2 early fouls in that game, and that's causing some matchup problems for the Cardinals tonight.
And I'll tell you, back to this game, Rusty, that was absolutely terrific action. They dumped it down into Spencer, where he'd scored minutes ago from the block. He was extremely patient, waiting to see if they're going to double team. When it came, kicked it to Adom right in the pocket. Adom shot the 3 in rhythm and was fouled on the attempt. That is action that should be available between either going into Spencer or to Spencer Peterson. Carroll doesn't have the horsepower to defend both of them in the post. If they're patient and deliberate, good post moves or kick-out threes should be there all night, and that's a recipe for success for the Thunder.
They call the foul on Blake Williams, which says it's his second. I'm pretty sure he picked up his second several minutes ago. But either way, just 2 on number 23. Adom makes 2 of the 3, and Wheaton leads by 9. Game high for the margin for the Thunder, 35-26. This is Joseph Archer onto the floor for the first time tonight. Carroll already going 11 deep. Bounce down, looking for room. Marlowe, great defense from Peterson. Now a foul on the rebound, probably against an Ajuan Spencer.
No question about it. He came over the top, caught the top of Marlowe's arms, and he'll go to the line, shooting 2. Now that we're in the double bonus.
Good defense initially from Spencer Peterson, and then an Ajuan Spencer calling on the foul on the rebound.
It's great to see the Thunder offense operating very effectively with Francis on the bench. That's going to help them once he's back in the game to have a few more guys in rhythm, and yet to have Carroll still paying a lot of attention to Francis. If Wheaton is patient, if Francis will draw, drive, and dish, should create a lot of really nice opportunities for the rest of the Wheaton team, which should be pretty confident after a well-played first half offensively.
Aston leads all scorers with 12. Both free throws missed for the Pioneers. Struggling, they missed their last 5. 8 for Adom. For Carroll, 8 for Ingebrigtsen and Penny, and 6 for Charlie Soule. Adom holding in the left pocket. Luke Anthony on the left wing against Williams. Gets him in the air, trying to drive around him. All the way down the paint, won't go. And Ajuan Spencer skying for the tip, and he goes down, but he's fouled.
Another good series of offense. Luke had to force that one a little bit as the shot clock was winding down, but a great job of crashing by Spencer, and he did get a little bump in the backside.
Archer the guilty party, and that'll send Ajuan Spencer to the free throw line for a pair. First one rattles out, neither team putting on a clinic here. Carroll's 0 for 3, Wheaton's 9 for 13 as Ingebrigtsen's back in. The elder Ingebrigtsen replacing Marlowe. Splits a pair, and Wheaton's lead stretches to double digits for the first time tonight.
Nothing worse than sitting on that Carroll bench as a coach looking up and going, wow, the fouls are even, but they've shot more than roughly 10 foul shots more. Just a matter of when you get called. When I was sitting on the bench for Wheaton, I used to love it in a heavy fouling game like this was turned into, when we could get fouls away from the basket. If we're going to pick ours up, pick them up ticky-tacky away. The officials tend to have a way of keeping the total number pretty even. Sometimes it's the free throws where the big difference can occur.
Spencer, the silky spin and finish.
They've got to feed him, whether it's out of the offense or whether they run sets to him. That is where the advantage has been early on, and is creating all kinds of problems for the Carroll defense.
Coach Schauer took ownership of that in the post game on Wednesday, saying he needed to do a better job of getting Spencer the ball in opportunistic situations. And now Penny all the way down the lane, and he loses possession. And you've seen them. They've made an effort to get him possessions. The first 5 minutes of the second half against North Central, Ajuan Spencer was electric, really keying that comeback. As the bench goes deeper now for Carroll, Caleb Thomas, the 6'1 sophomore, into the game. Player number 12 to enter the night for the Pioneers.
And there was a whole arsenal of offensive sets that Wheaton may not have installed yet, but going back to days of Joel Pullman, Andy Wheely, Tim McCrary, guys that had a really good post arsenal, that as they gain more confidence in Spencer's work down there, we may see them start to run more and more. Here's one right now.
He's got a mismatch with Nick Penny, and he's calling for the basketball. Bounces down, offensive foul. Penny was already falling over.
That's a terrible call because he's right into the low body of Spencer.
Watch it again. He's ready to go down right there. He's leaning backwards, and
there's nothing there. That's why you need more. That's why you need more 6'6" plus guys calling these games.
Of course, none of this comes from bias of you being called for a few of those, I'm sure.
And Bill Nikitas is one of the best officials year in, year out. But I'd have to tell him, I think he was a little quick to jump to that call.
Penny around the high screen, good help from Anthony. Ingebrigtsen between the circles, and now to the right wing for Ryan Cleary. Down low to Ingebrigtsen. Ingebrigtsen looking to go to work. Good help from Anthony to pick up the dribble, and Peterson walls him off. Williams thought about the three. They repost with 9. Ingebrigtsen looking for space. Penny got away with one away from the ball, and then he missed the layup, and Anthony the rebound.
That was another case where we got lucky with the missed layup, but Peterson was doing a good job on that. Luke Peters is paying way too much attention to the basketball, lost sight of his man.
Luke Peters and Nick Penny. Eventually something petty's going to get called between these two.
No question.
It's the hymns are clucking between these two right now.
Yeah, a lot of talking, a lot of contact, getting a little handsy, a little pushy.
Anthony goes down, smartly gets rid of the ball first. Wheaton has Carroll in a scramble. All the way to the basket. Shot is blocked as Carroll comes the other way. They can have the last shot if they want it. Cleary loses the dribble. Might have got away with a double.
Now we should see them take the last one as Coach Jones comes off and gives the last shot signal.
Shot clock is off. 12 seconds here. Cleary bouncing all the way out at the volleyball line. He calls for Penny on the screen. Penny for 3. Blocked. Ball comes loose. A scramble. Ingebrigtsen at the buzzer. It won't go. And Wheaton finishes the half strong. It was tied when Francis goes off the floor. Wheaton goes plus 12 in the last 8.5 minutes, and they lead 38-26 at halftime.
Well, give a Dome credit for taking over, and give the rest of the team credit. Spencer did a great job of establishing himself in the post, creating some easy shots. Spencer Peterson on the defensive end was able to pretty much neutralize Ingebrigtsen. I'd still like to see them doing a better job denying that post entry in the second half, but a much better job all around offensively and defensively as Wheaton really gelled that last 8.5 minutes on both ends of the floor.
Francis with a game-high 12 points despite only playing the first 12 minutes. We'll step aside. We're going to come back early here to announce some award winners from the 2018 calendar year. Stick with us then. We'll have to step into the archives a little bit with you, Mr. Frank, after something we talked about in Wednesday's broadcast. And we'll have all that coming up on the backside of the break. Wheaton leading by 12 at recess here at King Arena. You're watching CCIW basketball on WTSN.
I think a lot of today tries to emphasize how much you need to be the individual and how much you need to kind of have your plan set out for you as soon as you reach the end of high school. Vanguard just kind of popped out of nowhere, and the idea of a gap year, spending it in the woods, and I felt like I just needed to take some time away from the kind of rigorous academic world just to kind of recenter myself. I feel like this is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, was to take a gap year.
For For me, like going right to college was really kind of a scary thought because I didn't know what I wanted to major in, what I wanted to do. So taking a gap year was a really good chance for me to just like grow and mature a little more before going to college.
Once a month we would have professors from Wheaton come up and run a seminar, and those were exploring big questions of faith or big questions that millennials face.
Also just the Vanguard community itself is really tight, and like we became kind of like a family.
I'm very thankful for these people who are willing to push me, but just care for me so deeply, and definitely I think something unique to this place, to Honey Rock and to Vanguard as a program.
Basically the whole year was one immersion trip, being here in the Northwoods and interacting with the local community here. Another was going to the Dominican Republic.
It was learning and delving deeper into my faith, but without grades and without this pressure that I've always felt to perform. And I think having the opportunity to learn in such an intimate setting has influenced me in a really positive way.
I think what Vanguard does is it helps you to really discover your true potential and help you to kind of define your own calling.
It's a year of your life, yeah, and you might think, oh, this will set me behind all my friends, but it won't. At this stage in life, you're still so young, and there's still so much time to explore the world and to see what you want to study, and you'll have your 4 years of college, but you don't need to rush into that.
The person I am now compared to the person at the beginning is different in a lot of ways, but probably one of the most important ways would just be less anxiety about the future and more of just like present-mindedness and openness to what God is doing and like what His plan is from here.
Yeah, I definitely think looking back on it, taking a gap year and doing Vanguard was the best decision of my life.
Christ at the Core is changing the way that we teach and learn on campus. It's the beginning of a 4-year journey, a pilgrimage, and study of the liberal arts in a Christian community.
The first time I heard about the Core Seminar was in my spring connection of my senior year. So what really stood out to me was what they said that went along the lines of, in order to know your career, you first have to know your identity. And that completely blew my mind, because all the other schools talked about how I could excel in this subject and grow in this career field, but no one asked me who I was. Through the seminar and through my professor, Dr. Keith Johnson, I've learned that being a student is a vocation. It is a calling. The Lord has placed me here and my classmates here for a reason.
The first-year seminar is really built around introducing what we mean by Christian liberal arts, and that is not just to study that, but to actually do it. As we read texts, think about great ideas, refine our writing, make arguments, listen respectfully to students who differ from one another.
So homework wasn't a chore. I engaged deeply with the readings because I wanted to come to class with an insight to share and ready to learn from the students around me. It was an exciting opportunity, and I felt valued as an individual with the things that I could share with the classroom as well as learn.
The Christ at the Core and Advanced Integrative Curriculum is important for our students because it gives them an unparalleled opportunity for critical inquiry and to understand how their academic engagement informs their faith, and also how their faith informs their academic engagement.
It's really cool to be in a class that is just combining two very different disciplines, being taught by two different professors, Dr. Townsend just in the Department of Natural Sciences, and then Dr. Barwigan in Christian Formation and Ministry Department, but then seeing how they interact so beautifully in class and how they really just build on what each other are saying.
Students are getting expert knowledge in two very disparate disciplines. Correct. And that they're now having to learn how to integrate this. Right. So it teaches them from a liberal arts perspective how to not only take kind of these silos of content and learn it, memorize it for a test, but to see that everything that they're learning contributes to one another.
One of the best things that I've experienced is team teaching and actually having a chance to learn from you.
No, absolutely, that's true. I remember when we had this moment where we were teaching Ursula Le Guin, and I thought, this is perfect, because we've got a literary scholar and a political philosophy person together, and a man and a woman dealing with issues related to gender. And I thought, this is such a great experience for the students to be able to hear us working that out, talking that together.
So one of the outcomes in the first year seminar is to learn how to articulate the gospel. And so we, as a seminar, gathered and went to the basement of the Billy Graham Center and went to the pulpit there and began to practice proclaiming the gospel to each other. It was fun to do it together, to hear each other as we were learning better how to communicate the truth of Jesus Christ.
Part of the seminar experience is that we really build a community over the semester that we are together.
One of my favorite memories from core class was actually not during class, but one night when Dr. Lauber, my core professor, had us over to his house for dinner.
And community really built around that. Having food, having coffee, and having our textbooks in front of us.
This was a really impactful experience because as a freshman first semester, it was so nice to have a night where I could spend time in a home with a family eating dinner. Dr. Lauber really showed that he first cared about us as people and then as students, which made my core experience even more impactful and started off my freshman year really well.
And ultimately, this is what it's about: an education for life, a preparation for a life of service, because Christ truly is at the core of what we're doing here.
Back here at halftime of our second game of our doubleheader tonight. Wheaton leading Carroll 38-26. Along with Nate Frank, I'm Rusty Lindsay. Thanks for tuning in here. And we'll step away from the action on the floor to look at some of the top performances from the 2018 calendar year. All of these going up before the end of the 2018 season and prior to the end of the calendar year. This was put up for voting. These are your nominees for the 2018 Female Performance of the Year. We start with Favor Ezewuzi, who at the CCIW Indoor Track and Field Championships was the athlete of the meet, breaking records in the long jump, the 55 meters, and the 55-meter hurdles as Wheaton won their second straight CCIW Indoor Championship. Hannah Frazier posted 31 points and 11 rebounds in a win at North Park. Her only problem was she had a better game after the voting went up. And down at the championship game of the Bluffton tournament, Marion Halverson was the individual medalist at the CCIW Women's Golf Championships, only the second player in program history to earn the award. Hannah Reske, who after weather forced a cancellation, had to run the 5,000 meters and the 3,000 meter steeplechase at the same day of the 2018 NCAA Championships at the outdoor track and field, and she earned All-American finishes in both. She's the first Wheaton athlete ever to earn All-Americans in those two events in the same year. And Kelly Thornton, who was named to the All-Tournament team at the Marymount Invitational, had a great first day in Wheaton's 2 wins over Washington College of Maryland and Randolph-Macon, 47 assists, 16 kills, and 9 service aces in those 2 wins. And the voting being done on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And our winner of the Female Performance of the Year is Hannah Reske. Reske was first in a close one over Favor Ezewuzi. Now the Male Performance of the Year features none other than Wheaton's leading scorer on the year, Aston Francis, who broke a school record with 54 points in a win at UW Platteville. Carlos Fuentes finished second at the NCAA Wrestling championships, narrowly missing a pen in the championship after rallying from a big deficit. Corey Kennedy had a touchdown on an interception and a fumble recovery in a win over Elmhurst in the season finale for the Thunder football team. Michael McCraith struck out 7 of the first 9 hitters he faced and struck out 14 over 7 innings of work. And he's your nominee there in a game against Rockford. And Leif Van Grensven climbed from 12th to 6th on the second day of the decathlon to earn All-American honors. Those are your 5 male performances of the year nominees. And the winner, no surprise in this one, Carlos Fuentes was exceptional, was a crowd favorite, and he was the male performance of the year, finishing second, Wheaton's highest finish since 2001 at the NCAA Wrestling Championships, and Fuentes a heavy favorite. These are your nominees for the play of the year, and we will see the videos here shortly. But Brooke Barnes set a national best time in the 100-yard freestyle in 51.69 seconds. She took 2.5 seconds off her prelim time. That was at the UChicago Fall Invitational in November. Jacob Cretan had a huge touchdown run on the first play of the second half to give Wheaton a 2-possession lead after North Central had just closed the gap on really the last play of the first half in the battle for the bell. Jensen Ellis had the game-winning goal in the 3rd round of the NCAA tournament, a booming goal from outside the box that gave Wheaton a 3-2 win and over number 4 ranked center Aston Francis. We see him again. He had the game-winning step-back 3-pointer as Wheaton gave Illinois Wesleyan, then ranked 8th in the country and undefeated, their first loss of the year. And then Joey Sopakiotis had the game-winning goal in double overtime to give Wheaton a victory over Carthage. We'll get a chance to roll the video on these 5 plays so that you can see them. Here's Brooke Barnes, and we'll only show you the last really end of the half here as she dominated that swim. Here's Cretan. The first play of the second half, and Jacob Cretan breaks free 77 yards and then holds on to tightrope walk the line the last 20 yards or so after he looked like he was going to get tracked down. That is Jacob Cretan. That's the goal by Jensen Ellis. Wheaton leading 2-1. Center would score late in this game. That goal from Ellis, a cracker to the top corner, gave Wheaton a 3-2 lead. This is Aston Francis, the step back 3 in Bloomington to stun the Titans at the buzzer.
Love sending those guys.
And Mike Schauer might be a candidate for male performance of the year. Look at him excited. And then this goal from Joey Sopakiotis to give Wheaton a spot in the CCIW tournament. They needed a result in this game. A great pass up ahead, and Sopakiotis to finish. Our winner of the play of the year, it goes to Jacob Cretan. Cretan's 77-yard touchdown run, the winner of the play of the year. A close winner over Brooke Barnes and Aston Francis. That one really came down to the wire. And those are your winners. Carlos Fuentes, Hannah Reski, and Jacob Cretan. Congratulations to those 3. As we get underway here in the second half.
Let's see if we can pick up where they left off. As a coach, the 12 to 15 point lead always worried you. It feels to your players like they're in control. Sometimes you can come out, let up a little bit, and 2 or 3 bad possessions, you got a ball game again. First 5 minutes will be huge.
Well, and they're going to have to work Francis back into the rhythm. They were plus 12 after he went out with his second foul. And Kobe Eichelberger, who missed really the last, 12 minutes after he picked up his second foul. Missed shots on both ends to start the half. As Wheaton will come into the front court trying to add to their 12-point lead. That was the largest of the half. Peterson, he's hit 1-3. He'll try it again.
Big.
And connects.
Carroll just lost track of Peterson in the corner there. Shot it with confidence, and that's a good start.
That was a little bit of a slow motion fast break. They never really found the matchups in transition there.
No, it really was.
So a 15-point lead as Wheaton strikes first here in the second half. Penny looking for room. We'll leave it for Ingebrigtsen. That's not where they want him touching the ball. They would much rather see him where he's dangerous, inside of 12 feet. Now they post him in the hot spot. Turns, shot clock down to 5, and a great high finish over Spencer Peterson. Terrific patience with the shot clock running down by the senior Ingebrigtsen.
And Peterson started that defensive possession with a really good job of hedging the screen, recovering. But instead of recovering to behind Ingebrigtsen, you'd like to see him recover to that passing lane, deny the entry, and then once it went in, he kind of walked in under Ingebrigtsen as he went up Not a real hard call, but one you got to make, unfortunately.
Elsewhere around the conference, Augustana leads by 19 at recess over North Park. Milliken leading in Kenosha 48-40, and Elmhurst leading 43-30 in the Hangar over North Central at halftime. As Ingebrigtsen answers with the three-point play the old-fashioned way, and we're right back where we started this half. Wheaton up 12. Francis off the stagger screen. He will drive. Kick out to Eichelberger. Peterson, and now Luke Peters. 10 on the shot clock as Peters drives baseline. Luke looking for room. Kick out three for Eichelberger. Got it.
Good offense, good hit.
And a timeout taken by Mike Schauer after the three. An early momentum timeout here. So we didn't get a chance at halftime. I'm going to spring this one on you now, Nate.
Good. I like a good spring.
Haven't prepped you for this, and this is courtesy of Tim Martin. We talked during the second half on Wednesday night about Wheaton's all-time five, and does Aston Francis figure into that lineup? And if he does, where? Now, we had consensus on Mel Peterson and Kent Raymond. Be curious to know. Give us your top five.
That's so tough because my top five is all slanted towards the now incredibly almost 30 years I've been around Wheaton basketball. You're right, Kent and Mel make it automatically. I think the other guy that's got to be in there for sure is Steve Klum, Wheaton's all-time leading rebounder, the dominating post presence. I think then it becomes a little bit of a trickier scenario. I think the other guy that is an auto, and again this is a recency bias, is Tim McCrary. The numbers he put up were historic from a Division III perspective. And then, you know, it's hard to say. The only thing that keeps Aston, in my mind, from being a shoo-in for that is the fact that the team success has not been there to the degree that the other guys have had that team success. But he's certainly very much in the discussion. What did you guys come down
So
on?
we've got four. I'm going to need a fifth. You're ducking the hard one now. Four. Anyone can give me four, but
if I'm going to give you a fifth guy, I'm going to need a little more time to think about it, but we will get to that before it's all said and done.
I had Norm Potts starting in my five, along with Peterson, Raymond, Nadelhofer, and Dykstra. As Francis hits the three, and he's going to go to the line for one more. Is that enough to put him in the five?
Yeah, you know, he's right up there. And I'll tell you, Nadelhofer's a good call as well. What holds me back on him is only 2 years. And the 2 years he decided to play at COD would have been 2 years he could have been playing here with me. And I think I would have been the beneficiary of about 6 to 8 more points a game if he would have gotten his rear end here a little bit sooner. Yeah, I think at least in the era that I'm familiar with, it probably comes down to those two guys. But without a really strong team performance, I'm not sure I could put him in that top five all out. I would probably go with Nadelhofer.
Foul there on Peterson, Nelson Ingebrigtsen in the lineup. I'll have to remember Tim's now. I know Joel Colmadin was in there, along with Mel and Kent. I believe he had Aston in that five. And I'm drawing a blank on his fifth right now.
Colmadin's another guy that I think you could put in there. The knock on Colmadin, and I'd say it to his face, is his defense was a major liability. And there were a number of games, especially some games at the University of Chicago where he and Derek Reich would just get into these massive scoring battles, and by the time it was all said and done, the score was like 35-36 between the two of them. That said, Colmadin was an unbelievable offensive player and a great rebounder, so he definitely merits consideration.
Now, there was a campaign made after the broadcast was off the air on Wednesday night by none other than Tyler Peters, trying to jockey himself into the conversation. Is he in the conversation to run the point for that five?
No, he's not. Heck of a player, and certainly if you were to do the top 15, put your team together, he's in that discussion for sure. But Tyler didn't have enough success over 4 years. He was a little bit of a late bloomer. By the end, if you're looking at a single season basis, he gets back into that conversation.
I'm sure you'll be hearing from him now.
I hope so.
As Penny loses the ball on the back cut, Francis with 5 straight points for the Thunder.
Oh.
And he's going to find this one after deflection. This is where he's at his most dangerous. When you get him off script is when he is absolutely fun to watch. Gunter on the back down, up and under layup will go, and Wheaton leads by 21 here in a strong stretch to start the second half.
I put Tyler Peters into that second category where you throw
Well,
where you also throw a guy like a Rob Hammond, where you throw a guy like a Wes Pitts. Great players, but not necessarily generational talents. And I think to make the top 5 at a program that's had the kind of success Wheaton has had, both in its early days as a program and then certainly here over the last 30, 35 years, you've got to be first-team All-American several times, and you've got to be, maybe not first-team several times, but you've got to be a couple-time All-American, and you've got to be somebody who took their team to significant heights.
Hypothetically, Francis carries Wheaton on a run here this year. Does that crack the 5?
It does, absolutely. And I think it's not out of the question. If they can find a way to be more balanced night in and night out, and if they can find a way to be really consistent defensively, they absolutely have the ability to make a run. There's a lot of talent on this team, and I think some of it's latent. They've got to figure out a way to bring that talent to the forefront night in, night out. And
Aston Francis is a hard guy to scout for a one-off. He's such a unique matchup that guys in the CCIW have played against him a couple years. There you see it, the step back finds Eichelberger. That Wheaton sets up really well for a tournament-type run.
They do, and I get a lot of guys who come to me and say, why don't teams just double and triple Francis? And there's a couple reasons for that. If you start switching on him, he creates a matchup problem for just about any player. You put a little quick guy on him, he takes him down to the painted area. You step out with somebody big, he walks to the well, he pulls up. He's a very difficult matchup, and that's why when he's at his best, he's devastating. But when he's at his best, it's also when he's creating opportunities for his teammates, and that's something we'd like to see a little more consistency out of. And again, frankly, why he stays out of the top 5 all time, in my opinion.
Eichelberger splits a pair of free throws. He checks out. Adom checks in. On the floor with Gunter and Ajuan Spencer, Luke Peters. And now a foul away from the basketball. And so 5 fouls, not even 5 minutes in here. And the beat goes on from where we were in the first half.
And I know there's a lot of points of emphasis the NCAA keeps rolling out. They want to make the game less physical. They want to soften it up. They want more scoring. But I got to be honest, I love to see a game where unless there's an obvious advantage taken, and frankly an obvious advantage taken around the rim, let's let these guys play.
On the rotation, 3 ball on the way for Carroll, no good. That was Taryn Hall. Scrum on the rebound. Adom's on the floor. He's underneath. Arrow will stay with the Pioneers as he's tied up by Ryan Clary.
Just got a text from Andrew John saying we've done permanent damage to Tim McCrary's already big head. Slightly receding hairline, but big head by putting him up in that top 5. I may have to retract it at this point.
Well, all bets are off at the alumni game. That's where scores are settled and egos checked. So we'll just leave that hanging there. And you'll have to throw the carrot that a spot is up for grabs in your top 5 by that performance.
Absolutely right. I think we do settle it at the alumni game.
Spinning layup, no good. Rebound tipped out. Dylan Ingebrigtsen grabbed it momentarily and was fouled. 4th foul already of the half. It'll go against Gunter.
And this is kind of what we're talking about with Wheaton. They're in a position here to seize control of this game and absolutely put it on ice. Get this thing over by the 10-minute mark, but they've had a couple defensive lapses here. They've had a couple of fouls. They've given up a couple offensive boards. If they can tighten this kind of stuff up, they're good enough to win a lot of games because they can score, and they can score, I frankly think, in a lot more ways than they've shown to date.
Good contest there by Gunter on the help defense. Cade Alioth goes to the floor to tie it up. Wheaton keeps the basketball here. On the alternate possession, Gunter out. Eichelberger back in, joining Adom, Peters, Francis, and Alioth. As the depth goes on for the Thunder, we talked about where the rotation changes with the addition of Luke Anthony. Obviously, Tyson Cruikshank losing some minutes, but also the strength of Anthony allows them to go a little shorter in the middle, too, as Alioth just checking in for the first time here in the second half as he gets the shot off the backboard, and here come the Pioneers. And stolen by Eichelberger, who draws the foul. Great anticipation from Kobe.
Really nice steal. Going back to that previous offensive set, Alioth coming off the bench. Always tough to get that first shot up, but that's a situation where he's got to collect himself and muscle it up. The biggest issue young big guys have is when they get it down low and they kind of wish it up or expect a foul. Power it up, go right through that backboard with it. And more often than not, you'll get the bucket and the foul.
So Wheaton leading by 19. Now we're just over the 5 minutes into the second half. Adom holding left wing. Francis off the step back. Got it. And he is feeling it to start the second half.
Well, I like that. And even though that's a 23, 25-foot three, it came out of the rhythm of the offense. He had space created. That's a shot I love seeing him take because it's in the rhythm and the flow of the Thunder offense.
8 points already in the second half for Francis, spinning Clary, and he's fouled by Adom. Carroll knows what they need to do. They're pushing the ball into the block, working the fouls. 5 already against the Thunder. However, Carroll missed all 3 free throw opportunities in the first half. So they'll have to do better from the charity stripe here in the second 20 because it looks like they're going to have a lot of opportunities.
And that's a situation where Adom played pretty darn good defense. He got caught back on his heels a little bit at the end of the play, but just go up straight. Make him hit a tough spinning shot over you instead of bailing him out with the foul.
And he misses another free throw.
And another poor box out by the Thunder.
Soul all the way to the rack, and he finishes. Great second opportunity for the Pioneers. Francis smart enough not to contest there, given the way they're calling this game.
And with Francis also smart to say, let's set it up and run some offense here.
Passes on the 3 once, step back again, money.
Boy, he's feeling it. Freshened up during that last 8.5 minutes of the half and over halftime. He's got his legs underneath him. We could see him get well into the 30s by the time this one's all said and done. 23 points now. He had 12 at the break. Spinning his soul. Shots up, no good. Francis picks up the rebound, and he's running the break with numbers. Francis. Oh, made the wrong pass there. He had Elliott on the left wing for the flush.
Kobe for 3 out of the corner, but the over-the-head shovel gets the hockey assist.
You can't beat that. It's what we like to call the fake turnover move. Oftentimes when you almost turn the ball over, it creates enough defensive chaos that if you can recover the basketball, it leads to good things.
I love the hockey assist for basketball. Are you a proponent of tracking that with the advanced metrics?
I would love it, as long as I'm not the guy that has to track it.
Eichelberger going to dial it up again.
That's deep.
That came out high and hot. Just like that, Wheaton up 25 here in the second half.
Keep playing defense. This is a chance to put it on ice, get some burn for your guys who haven't played much, and get their second semester legs under them.
3 ball for Clary, and he hits on a quick trigger pull.
Well, he kind of loaded that up from under his chin. That thing got up there in a hurry.
That almost looked like a set shot, how fast he pulled it out.
Did.
So Wheaton will slow it down into the half-court set. Adom on the right wing, looking for Francis. Penny's there. And Adom will look now for the next one. He'll drive. Help from Ingebrigtsen. And Dylan Ingebrigtsen's going to be called for the reach. And actually, correction, they get Clary. Anthony and Cruikshank into the game. Along with, for Carroll, they're going to bring Maupin back in. And for the first time, David Anelis comes in. Also for the first time, Davis Breaker into the game. So Carroll now 14 deep that we've seen tonight.
This is either them waving a very early white flag, which I don't think it is, or them more than likely sending a message to their top guys that it's time to start playing. Francis was feeling it, can't get it to go from the corner off the inbounds, and they leave Breaker alone for 3 in the front court. Long. Tracked down by Anelis. It's one of the last things you want to see. Breaker had to shoot that shot, but you like to get a couple trips up and down. That was a big shove in the back there, by the way, that Carroll got away with. But if you're Breaker, you have to shoot it. You don't love shooting it, and that's the reason why. You just don't have a good feel for the game.
Let me touch the ball once before it goes in.
You need to get up and down a few times just to get the feel.
As Francis to get the ball in, looking for help.
They're going to turn it over here.
Lobs it up, and Eichelberger saves him. Kobe driving Euro step to the basket.
Love that. I love the craftiness with which he gets to the basket. You love to see him do more of it because he can finish with pretty good acumen when he gets around there.
Nice crossover. Soul blocked by Francis. Here comes Wheaton in transition. Around the back dribble. Francis looking to go to work on Clary. All the way to the bucket. Leaves it for Alioth, who lays it up and in.
And a much better finish. That's good stuff. Wheaton is at their best when Francis is thinking in equal parts about scoring and creating. Easier to do in a game where you're up 26, but nonetheless, love seeing him do it.
Shoveled ahead to Anthony. Alioth in transition. And it's all working for Wheaton right now. just blitzing Carroll out of the gates. 29-13 here in the second half over the first not even 9 minutes. And it should be a travel.
If that's not a travel, that is an absolute charity whistle.
Wow. Kobe Eichelberger called for the foul.
He did like a little sachet, a little mince job into the paint there and somehow got away with it before there was even the faintest whiff of contact.
Eichelberger and Alioff feeling the up and down the last few times. They need to get an Najuan Spencer and Spencer Peterson into the game as Ingebrigtsen going right at Spencer Peterson. Nowhere to go. Fade away with the right hand. Great defense and great rebound by Najuan.
That's good defense. I still don't like them letting the ball get that low. But once it's that low, just hold your ground. Make him make a tricky shot. He's going to make a few. He's going to miss a few. But there's no point in giving up more space. There's definitely no point in sending him to the foul line. Make him shoot it over you.
Cruikshank draws the foul on the drive against Breaker. That's Breaker's first, the 6'7" sophomore out of Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Bounced in looking for Najuan Spencer, and they're going to get a hold. Guilty party will be Charlie Soule, so we're well on our way to a whole lot of free throws tonight.
Yeah, now you see Carroll both starting to get tired and frustrated. That was a situation where Soule knew he was beat and just kind of draped himself over Spencer.
11 minutes to play. We're one foul away from free throws on both sides. The lob comes into Najuan Spencer up top for Luke Peters. Luke Anthony pulls up, finds Cruikshank right wing, guarded by Breaker. Breaker at 6'7" against Cruikshank at 5'11". Luke Peters in the paint doing work. Can't finish, and Ingebrigtsen grabs the rebound.
Real high-quality move. Like to see him put that one up off the window instead of trying to flip it up over the front of the rim. I think he'd have a better chance of finishing.
Looking for room is Howard. And we will have free throws. Luke Anthony called for the follow-through 5. And that'll put Carroll in the bonus for the next 10:33.
If you're Coach Schauer, you're really happy with the way the team came out of the gate there. They were a little sketchy on defense the first couple of trips down, then they tightened that up, and then they really started pushing the ball in transition and distributing it out of the half-court offense. That's a recipe for success with this team. They've got enough guys that can score, that will score. They've got enough defensive versatility that when they'll commit to that on both ends, playing as a team, there's not a team in this league they can't beat, especially on the home ice here at Wheaton.
Nearing the midway point of the second half, it has been all Thunder after halftime. Anthony, the strong drive, can't get it to go.
It's another shot he's got in his repertoire, but he's going to need to work the rust off it over the course of the next few days.
Great hustle from Najuan Spencer, and it will lead to a foul. Again on Anthony. Francis will check back in for the Thunder, and he will replace Luke Anthony. So it's the freshman Williams at the line. He makes the first. Again, a shout out to our viewing party out in Phoenix. President Reichen out there, along with the Woods family at the house of the Smiths. Again, we hope the spread is worth your while tonight and you're enjoying the basketball out west.
I'm picturing them sitting like in a sort of half-enclosed lanai type setting, enjoying like 65-degree Phoenix weather. Good news was it was 50 degrees here, and I actually got to play some golf today, so they're not doing a whole lot better than us there in Phoenix, at least on this particular day. A week from now, it's probably a whole different story.
Might even be tomorrow, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, could be.
Francis is fouled going up for the shot, so he will shoot 2.
Man, I love that back cut action. You've got the defender there. Penny's so worried that Francis is going to do the curl to the three-point line that it leaves the back cut wide open. That's some of Wheaton's best action there.
Francis makes the first. And he makes the second, so he has 25 on just 12 shots tonight. Highly efficient night from Aston Francis.
Yeah, that's great.
Long 3 from Howitt. Adome probably got away with one on the closeout. Francis pushing to Adome. And Adome lays it up and in transition through the contact of Williams.
That's good. On both ends, I think we saw indications from the officials that they're ready for maybe a beer and a late dinner because they let a couple fouls go.
What a block from Anajuan Spencer.
Good hustle by Peters.
Francis in transition for 3.
Oh, follow the shot. He's been feeling it. He was heat checking. That was a great shot in transition, but if he follows and he lays it up for 2 on the rebound, no problem.
Trying to get Luke Peters a well-deserved assist there, too, for the hustle play.
Yeah, great play.
I think Francis was ready to break out the 3 goggles back on the other side of the floor. Spencer Peterson going to be called for the foul. That's his 4th as Ingebrigtsen goes to the line. So we get another look at the Anajuan Spencer block following this free throw. Free throw's no good by Ingebrigtsen. Just great help defense. He's going to come all the way across the floor here as Breaker drives.
Really good job at jumping away from the body, avoiding the contact, and also controlling the block shot.
Yeah, it's one thing to block it out of bounds and let them keep possession. It's another gift to keep it in play and take the ball the other way. Ingebrigtsen misses both. Rebound is loose, grabbed by Gunter as Williams gets tangled up with Eichelberger as they both come up the floor. Inside of 9 minutes left, Wheaton leads at 71-42. They led by 12 at half. Francis going to work on the block. Fade away.
Good board by Gunther.
Looking for
a good kick.
Adom from the left wing, and Williams the foul.
A pretty nice little spin pass by Adom. He put that right on the numbers.
There you see the kick from Gunter.
This was going to be a heck of a nice pass for 3 if he wasn't fouled.
Ingebrigtsen out, replaced by Cale Maupin.
And you just saw Coach Schauer give Peters and Francis the signal of, hey, we're not in a rush. Would love to see 20 to 25 second possessions. Grind another 3-4 minutes off the clock. Keep this lead up around 30. And then let's get you guys off the floor, get you some rest, get some other guys a little bit of run here. And let's start thinking about what's coming up next week in CCIW play.
This is a much different game than the one these two teams played in this building last year. As Adom makes a pair of free throws, checking in is Taryn Hall. Last year was a shootout, Wheaton 97 and Carroll 92 in this game. This has been a much different feel. This one almost feels like the game here 2 years ago where we had a similar layout, close game up till the half, and Wheaton just blew the doors off the Pioneers in the second half.
This is the kind of game you need to see from Wheaton. This Carroll team is an average offensive team at best. An average offensive teams you need to absolutely lock down. They've done a pretty darn good job of that.
As Eichelberg is going to get called for the foul, he hit the hand of Blake Williams going up on the shot, so the lanky freshman will go to the line for a couple free throws, where Carroll has really struggled tonight. Carroll is 6 of 14 from the line. That's 42%. Wheaton 15 of 22 at 68%. So Peterson back in for Eichelberger, both of them with 4 fouls. The good news is you only have to stretch that for another 3 or 4 minutes between the two of them. And you can start to get some guys off the bench like Gavin Hawkins and start to get those guys some minutes.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some of the young guys, especially some of the young big guys, get in, get some time, play against some real CCIW competition. You get tired of playing second and third team action against your starters all the time. It's nice to beat up on some guys with different colored jerseys.
As Luke Peters patiently sets up the offense here in the half court, counting down towards 8 minutes left, Wheaton by 30. Francis off the screen, shot clock's at 8,
Great
bounces
look
to Luke Peters for an easy lay-in.
And right now you've got Carroll paying so much attention to Francis that he should be thinking pass, 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 penetrate and pass every time. There's going to be chances galore for his teammates.
The freshman Dylan Ingebrigtsen for 3, no good. Rebound tracked down by Maupin. This time it's Penny for 3, no good, and Francis the rebound. Francis has had a double-double. He's been flirting with the triple-double the last 2 games. He's had the double, and he steals it back. He's not going to get there tonight, only 3 rebounds and 3 assists. But he has been much more active on the rebounds. He's Wheaton's leading rebounder. averaging 7.2 per game.
Now, he does a really nice job of getting in there. So much of his action when other people are shooting, as we get the charge call on a dome, so much of his action that leads to other people shooting on the Wheaton team is going towards the hole. So he's already near the basket. You've got guys recovering. It should lead to a lot of good rebounding opportunities. But you still have to have the nose for the ball and the desire to go get it. It's impressive for a guy of his stature to be averaging 7+ rebounds a game.
To be well below their season average of 69 points a game. They have just 15 here in the first 13 minutes of the second half as the freshman Dylan Ingebrigtsen works his way into the paint and finishes with the left hand.
Promising little move. He looks like he still needs to bulk up, add some muscle. He's going to become the caliber of player his brother's become over the last few years, but he's got some touch, he's got some ability.
6'5", 235. He's got the frame to add that.
Working that shot clock down to around 10 seconds. Now they'll go.
They're trying to run a double at him. He dribbles away from it, pulls up on the baseline, can't get it to go. Working against the freshman Blake Williams. They push to the freshman Ingebrigtsen. Ingebrigtsen, pump fake, shot up, no good. Tipped out by Gunter, but it comes to Clary, who again has that little push three. And the rebound by Gunter.
This is one of those situations now, Mike saying, hey, keep playing. We can run some clock, but don't stop running offense.
Peters pulls up in the lane, missed everything, and Wheaton is fortunate to get the ball back on the rebound with 17 on the shot clock.
This is one of those situations where it's going through the mind of a coach with a 30-point lead is a lot different than what's going through the mind of a player not yet in the game and a fan at home. A 30-point lead with 6 minutes somehow feels very shaky to a coach at this stage. Whereas I think it's probably pretty well in hand, especially if Wheaton continues to defend. I think we'll see the bench start to get emptied about the next minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Carroll has their starters out of the game, going with their second unit right now as Clary looks for room in the paint. Good defense by Peters, better offense by the sophomore guard.
Really nice. Love it on that move to the middle where you kind of put the shoulder into the defender's sternum, neutralizes their ability to jump, then you take it up over them. Really good post work there.
Peters drops to Gunter, and he's fouled going up.
The trick is when you put that shoulder in the sternum, you don't do it with too much enthusiasm where you get the offensive foul, but if you could do it with just the right force, creates a really nice opportunity to lay it in over the defense.
It's worth noting that in their game on Wednesday, Luke Peters moved past his head coach, Mike Schauer, into 10th place on the all-time career assist list. He's 3 away from being just the 10th player in program history with 300 career helpers.
Yeah, he's had a really, really nice career, been very consistent, always stalwart on the defensive end. Be sad to see these seniors graduate. They've had a nice run, and a lot of them have played a lot of minutes over the last 4 years, so you've gotten to grow up with them.
Clary again, shots off. Maupin comes out of a scrum with the ball in the layup. And I think it's sequences like that further what you just said, Nate. Coaches don't quite trust the ground they're standing on here. No look pass from Francis into the corner. Adom back to Francis in the right corner. Shot fake. Now he's open for 3. Money from Aston Francis. And Mike Schauer's going to call a timeout, and that'll be the end of the day for the starters.
Yeah, here they come. Not quite going deep to the bench yet. Going all with guys who've seen some time alone. You've got Cruikshank and you've got Anthony coming back into the game.
So that'll be the end of the night for Francis with 28 points on just 15 shots. We talked about that 54-point game. That came on just 27 shots. I mean, this is as effective as he's been. Efficient, I should say.
Yeah. And that's the thing with him. Scorers are going to take a lot of shots in any given game. He should be shooting the ball 15 to 20, and in some games 25 times. But what you want to look at is that efficiency. Is he shooting a high percentage? And then how much he's distributing the basketball. And he's done a really good job of spreading it around. Done a good job on the boards tonight. This is a pretty textbook game from him, and if they can get it, they're not going to get 60% shooting from both the field and the three-point stripe night in and night out. But if you can get 50% from the field and low 40s from the three-point stripe and 5 to 6 assists a game. This team is going to be potent, and I think it's a race that's up for grabs. People love to crown Augie because of how physical they are, how tough they are to beat on the road, but I still think this is anybody's race and anybody's CCIW tournament to win once you get in.
Nice finish by Maupin off the feed, and it just has the feeling that it's going to come down to that loss at North Park that's really going to hurt Wheaton down the stretch as they try to overcome and catch the Vikings.
It may, and it's going to be hard to win the league outright, certainly, especially with the way Elmhurst is also playing. However, they more or less neutralize that loss by coming back and winning the next week at Wesleyan, something only a handful of Wheaton teams have done over the last 20 years.
Hall cut off on the baseline drive there. Back in, Clary's been active here with this second unit.
Flashing the post Arsenal again.
And Clary's now their leading scorer with 13 points, moving past Tyler Ingebrigtsen. Ingebrigtsen had 8 at halftime. He has just 12. I think that's where he's going to finish. I'd be shocked if we see him again tonight.
I think Ingebrigtsen had 8 in probably the first 8 to 10 minutes. It looked like he was going to be a load all night. Wheaton made some good adjustments, and Peterson, to his credit, did a really nice job of keeping him from getting going to any greater degree.
Clary will lead the break and hands off to Taryn Hall for the layup. 24-point lead for the Thunder inside of 4 minutes left. Luke Anthony on the backup, blocked by Williams. That's the length of a 6'6" forward, and now you're going to see a couple more subs. Adom's night is ended.
Well, he had a heck of a night.
Yeah, Jack Bennett into the game replacing Adom. Gunter out, and Gavin Hawkins in.
I think Adom and Spencer were really critical for getting them through that last 8 minutes of the first half. They really established themselves. They took a lot more initiative with the basketball and made it pretty non-detrimental, almost a non-factor that Francis had to sit out for the better part of the first half.
12 points, 4 assists tonight for Adom. Foul is called on Alioth, his first. They're in the double bonus, so it'll be 2 free throws for the freshman Blake Williams. So Wheaton takes care of business at home this week. Next up, they've got a road game in Decatur against Milliken, who is leading in Kenosha tonight, 67-59, and they're going to get a win in that game as that's in the final minute. Other CCIW action, North Central has stormed back to take the lead against Elmhurst in Naperville, outscoring the Blue Jays 22-8 over the first 11 minutes of the second half.
That's why it's tough to beat them. They never feel out of that in Naperville, and they're also such a good defensive team. They can lock you down for long stretches. That's been a hallmark of those Todd Reardon teams. And
Augustana blows the doors off in North Park, 109-64 at Foster and Kedzie.
Nothing worse than getting your tail kicked than having a 3-hour drive down I-88 and 290 to get home. That is
that's in Chicago.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
So that's just getting your tail kicked
even
and walking back.
Even walking back to your dorm, and it's not even that cold a night. So a little less insult to injury there.
Nice move by Maupin, can't finish, and Hawkins will grab the board. An impressive showing from Augustana, moving to 12-1, and they're going to get to watch as Elmhurst is in a dogfight to stay even with the Vikings atop the CCIW standings. Illinois Wesleyan off tonight. They sit at 2-3. North Central trying to stay tied with Wheaton 2 games back.
Not a bad time of year to get your bye. You get a little more time to practice.
Double dribble by Luke Anthony as Williams goes flying into the bleachers.
Not sure what happened there. If he caught it with his hand and then it bounced and then he put another bounce down. I didn't see the double dribble, did you?
I did not. But
not a lot of protest.
There was also a body flying between us and the play at the time. Folks, that's a great reason to come out to King Arena. You never know when the action is just going to fall right in your lap. Your next chance to do that will be January 16th when the Thunder host Augustana. Williams will dial up the 3-ball from the corner. That won't go. Offensive rebound for the Pioneers. That's Caleb Thomas, the sophomore out of Monroe, Louisiana. Physical drive and finish.
Pretty nice little move there.
Thomas, a stout guard at 6'1", 200. Goes right at Alioth and wins that battle.
This is where Coach Shower's doing math in his head going, all right, it's 21, it's about to be 20. How many points per second is that we've got a lead? Should be well in hand and I don't know that stranger things have happened. So this is probably going to be a good workmanlike W for the Thunder tonight.
And a foul on the rebound, and just as we've been talking, that another 7 straight points for North Central. They've taken control of that game all of a sudden. 7-point lead with 8 minutes left.
Oh, we had a minor collision there.
Just tripped back.
As Joseph Archer collided with Elioth and almost looked like he tweaked his ankle a little bit. That looks like me getting out of the shower, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, he had turned around, was walking backwards, didn't see Elioth standing there, so he just stepped on the ankle of Elioth. Gavin Hawkins going to the free throw line for Wheaton. He drew the foul on the rebound. And the free throw woes continue for both teams. Gio Carrillo into the game for the Pioneers. He'll replace Archer, who, like we mentioned, kind of turned that ankle stepping on Elioth there.
Yeah, those are the injuries that really bug you, the ones where you're not really doing a whole lot.
Both free throws missed. That's going to put Wheaton down near 61.5%. Meanwhile, Carroll's stuck at 42% as there's a 3-ball from Caleb Thomas, who has 5 quick points. And just like that, it leads down to 16. The end of the bench showing a little more urgency than the Thunder down the stretch for Carroll. Wheaton led this game by as many as 30. That was at, I believe, at 79-49.
Yep,
so I think this is a 12-0 run for Carroll.
It is a 12-0 run.
Elioth in the paint, kick out. Hawkins for 3 from the corner.
They could use this one. Now kick it back out. Don't force it.
Cruikshank grabs the rebound, trying to go back up. Ball's knocked loose, and Luke Anthony's smart enough just to dribble it out.
Mike goes, get the ball out.
Yeah.
Run some clock.
If he wasn't smart enough beforehand, he would have learned pretty quick.
Luke Anthony, very savvy player. I think he was going to do that even before he was instructed to.
Cruikshank off the high screener roll to Hawkins. Hawkins driving into the lane, into the paint. Won't go. Rebound grab by E.J. Weems-Curry. I think we're going to end up near 20 players on the floor tonight for the Pioneers. Thomas again driving. Elioth tips loose the rebound. Wheaton can dribble this one out. Shot clock is off. Back-to-back home W's to start the 2019 calendar year for the Thunder, and in convincing fashion too.
And they're games you got to win. I mean, no one would have predicted Wheaton to do anything other than win these games, but these are tough games to get up for. You've left your friends at home. Your roommates are still enjoying Christmas break. And you got to take care of business. It puts you in position to set up some really big games during the last 6-7 weeks of the season.
When you've got
some fun ones,
you've got 2 big ones coming up next week in places you've struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
So this sets the tone well for trips to Decatur and then down the road to R.A. Fagin Hall.
That's exactly right. That Milliken trip is always a dicey one, always a tough one to manage. And then going to Elmhurst is always a grind. There's no question about it. So as Mike Schauer walks over, we'll get him here for the post. He's got to feel pretty darn good about this one.
Coach, a game you got to feel pretty good about the first probably 35 minutes of at least. Talk about that first half stretch. Kobe's on the bench with 2 fouls. Aston picks up his second, and your team goes plus 12 the rest of the half.
First thing I want to say, Rusty, is last game Luke Peters passed me for 10th on the all-time assist list. I'd like to point out your partner's a big reason why I don't have a few more. Really pleased with our team. We're becoming a simple recipe if we can do it. We've really become a pretty good defensive team. We play pretty hard defensively. I'm really pleased with our guys. And when we move the ball offensively, and guys are willing to shoot shots that are the right shot, even if it's not ass or whatever, just guys shoot the right shot. I think Jay Spencer and Kobe and Spencer Peterson and Ye have just watched them grow in confidence to take shots. And I think Aston's doing a pretty good job, although he had stretches in the first half, he didn't, but a pretty good job of finding guys and kind of letting it be a little more balanced. Yeah, a little disappointed with the way we ended it, but you know what, that's a tough situation in some ways because, I'm wanting him to hold the ball for 30 seconds to get the game over with and yet trying to score. That's not an easy thing to do.
Ye comes off the bench when you need him, takes control of this offense, 12 points and 4 assists tonight. And Spencer Peterson also a big night guarding their big man after he had a couple early buckets. What about those two was so important for your formula tonight?
Well, I mean, Ye is one of our more gifted offensive players, and he actually has struggled at times because Aston and Luke are so ball dominant. He likes to have the ball. Ye, like most guards that get to this level, they're used to having the ball in their hands. So it's taken him a little bit to adjust. It's probably been a little bit, I've got to do a better job of helping him find offense, because he's a really good offensive player, and you know, all year we're kind of searching for more offense, so he's a significant piece. And you know, Spencer Peterson and Jay Spencer, the two junior forwards, are just turning into really, really good players. But I want to tell you something, I was really pleased. You know, I've made a change in the starting lineup, and I'm so pleased with Trevor Gunter, who simply gives me the same effort, the same stuff every single night. I thought he was great tonight, and his minutes matter, and he's the most mature basketball person on our team. He's not easily phased or moved, and you know, I've been doing this a long time. You need to have guys that are kind of willing to accept some roles, and Trevor does a good job of it.
What are the way your team's performed? 2 games that you've really taken control of and not let up in. What does these two performances do to set you up for 2 games next week in places that have been kind of historically tough for you last couple of times now?
Yeah, you know, the big thing is I hope we just buy into the formula, which is this really is the old formula. You know, I think Ben Panner and Jake Carwell and a few other guys are in the building tonight. The old formula is to try to hold teams into the 60s and win. We've become such a good defensive team that if we can accept the fact that we're probably not going to score more than 75 or 80, but we can hold teams in the 60s, those teams can win on the road. That formula can travel. So that's my hope, that we just really kind of stick with it, for lack of a better way to say it, just kind of persevere through it.
Well, Coach, congrats on the win. We'll get a chance to see you again against Augustana in a week or so. Again, 79-61 our score. Stats from this game and a game recap will be available tonight on the Wheaton Athletics page, athletics.wheaton.edu. Wheaton, our next broadcast will be a Wheaton women's game on Wednesday night when the Thunder host Milliken for a 7 p.m. tip-off. Our next men's game comes your way on January 16th when Wheaton hosts Augustana for a 7 p.m. tip-off. For Nate Frank, I'm Rusty Lindsay, our outstanding production crew with Sunrise Communications. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Again, 79-61 our score. You've been watching CCIW basketball from WTSN.